We bring you our Dallas Cowboys owner and general manager, Jerry Jones. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, man.
Well, it's a great day to be alive, as always. And, you know, I wanted to start with this. We've talked a lot about it, and we all agree Darren Woodson should be a Hall of Famer. But Jason Witten is now in his first year of eligibility and a finalist. In your eyes, is Jason Witten a no-doubt first-ballot Hall of Famer?
Well, I would think so. Of course, I don't have a vote, period. But we all know he would get my vote. But when you look at the complete body of work on Jason, and I'll never forget, I was sitting with Jason in New York, and we were with the top guy at the medical center there in New York. He had tried everybody in Dallas to clear him so that he could play against the opening game against the Giants with a cut spleen. And so we had him up there in New York with the best. And the doctor looked over at him and he said, Jason, how bad do you want to play in this game tomorrow? And he said, it means everything to me, everything. He said, that's why I'm here. And the guy said, I'm going to clear you because there'll be 20 others playing with a lot more hazardous conditions than this. Well, that was Jason Witten going out there with a cut spleen. And he was outstanding, of course, as he, for all time, most of the time approached and everything he did. He's a Hall of Famer.
Jerry, when you guys drafted him, can you take us back to that moment when y'all drafted him? Were you like, this guy is going to be this kind of player, or were you like, we're drafting another tight end?
No, he had a great reputation coming out of Tennessee. He was represented by an agent that we had had a lot of confidence in, had known for a long time. He was really had us appraised of the type of character that he had coming out of school, had coming out. And we knew that went with the physical package of what he could do physically. So we were really elated when we got him in the third round. He was disappointed. He was always disappointed, and he was right. He should have been a first rounder.
Now, there's a big game coming up on Sunday against the Giants. I know you've talked about it. I know Shotty has talked about it, the desire to win this game and the desire to get to 8-1. And I want to get back around to that in just a second, but there are so many issues percolating this morning. One of them being, I know he's not even on the team anymore, but Micah Parsons tweeted out, and I quote, Jerry Jones slandered my name to Cowboys media and national media for months, so I do think I can react to comments if I want to. Hashtag respectfully. This was in a back and forth about Diggs and Eberflus and things like that. What do you think about Micah's assertion that you slandered his name?
Well, I wish Micah the very best, and I think a lot, I really do. I think a lot of his mom and his family, and Micah just got to where he outgrew our ability to pay him. And he's a great player, and he's going to make great plays. Everybody knows how to subtract and get to 5 for and what the decision came down to. I'd have Micah on the team, but we just couldn't afford him, and we wanted 4 or 5 players more than we did him. But he's outstanding. I understand his sensitivity and can even understand these comments. But the facts are the facts, and when you just put it on one player, that player can get hurt. And if you've got it on 4 or 5 players, the chances of all of them getting hurt are not there. And so you often don't have those players when you put that high dollar on them. That goes with the risk of putting all that money on one player. But so to be real clear, it certainly never was personal with Micah.
Have you ever experienced this kind of emotional back and forth with another player in your time, Jerry?
Always. Everybody's very sensitive. when you're talking about their finances. And you talk about it is like a critique of their play. And I completely understand why it's sensitive to talk about that. And I go through that emotional gambit and have with most every decision that I've ever made that were meaningful. And since I started out pretty slim, every decision has been meaningful if it gets over in that financial world. And, man, I could get mad in a minute if somebody tried to charge me more than I wanted to pay for a car. And I'd get mad at them. But after it was over, we hugged and made up, and I drove off with the car, and he put the money in his pocket.
There you go. Jerry, we've seen, and we've been critical about this a lot of times, Kevin, you and I both, about this organization holding on to players for too long. And then we'll also complain that maybe you cut a player, moved on too early. What goes into deciding to stick with a guy or cut bait?
Well, I really think that if you really think about it, you're going to always be a little early or a little late. Always. It's impossible to just nail it. And so, it is a lot of things are involved. Certainly, you get to have personal relationships with players, and that's real hard to do. I have trouble doing it. I have trouble going past my personal relationships with players, and I've made mistakes because of it. And that's a part of it. It's not necessarily unique, though, to the Cowboys or football. It goes on out there every place, and those decisions become personal for the ones involved.
Now, you were on with our morning show on Tuesday, as you are every single week, and right after that, later in the day, Trayvon Diggs was waived from the team. I know there's a lot that goes into it. It wasn't just one incident. But I am curious, do you feel like that relationship was essentially broken when Diggs wasn't at the team facility for rehab earlier in the year?
You know, a lot is made of relationships, and they are important. But at the end of the day, I've seen players have great careers and not be necessarily excited about who the coach is or who their general manager is or who their owner is. It gets down to the one that lives with what they are themselves, and then probably their second most important consideration, or maybe their first most in consideration above themselves, is their teammate. And so it's not uncommon because we've got almost 100 players. And since I've been involved with the Cowboys, I dare say I'm approaching 4,000 players since I've been involved.
Wow.
And so those are a lot of people. And the appreciation is that you have in common is that you love sports, you love to compete. But I'm going to tell you, I have a unbelievable high ceiling on what I think of players that give it up and play football. Now, they have to really, especially at the NFL level, they have to have given up a lot to get there. On the other hand, I know they have an appreciation for the life and the opportunity to get to do it. They've come along in the last year since I've been in the NFL, and I think it's going to be that way for at least 15, 20, 30 more. They're in the red meat of when it's time to be a football player in the history of the world. And if they've got the gifts and they've got the will and the work to take advantage of it, they can change their lives, and everybody they love change their lives. The ones that really take advantage of it, I can't tell you how much I admire them as much as anybody else off the field that does well.
Well, I think that is particularly relevant for every team, I'm sure. But Kenny Clark said something about what you were just saying. We need a bunch of dogs on this team, a bunch of guys who truly love and care about football. I'm not talking about the talent part of it. Do you think right now y'all have enough players in that building who are dogs and who truly love football?
We have players in that building that, by the fact they're in the building, they're 99% home of being a dog. They are. They've to have gotten there to begin with, they're exceptional. 75,000 players play college football this year. 75,000. We'll put 300 in the draft. And this year, in the draft, let's say as many as 100 players. And it will probably be more than that. It'll be 200 or 300 players. I've got my math wrong here, but not much. But it'll be several hundred players. Within 3 or 4 years, there won't be but about 120 of those left out of 75,000 that played college football this year. So it is fleeting. It is a rare person and player that gets to step in there and do it. And I admire them for doing it because they are stepping out and having to really extend to get to do. Talent is not enough. But I admire all these players. I admire everybody all the way to a practice squad player for what they do to be in the NFL. But I also know how lucky they are to get to be here.
Did you get the sense that Trayvon Diggs loved football, and did he love the Dallas Cowboys?
Listen, I thought Trayvon had one of the most impressive beginnings in pro football and with the Cowboys that I've ever been associated with. And I personally think that there's things that Trayvon did back when he first came in the NFL that he physically has been compromised with to do. And one of the things he could do is do something similar to what Deion Sanders could do. Deion could make a mistake, or he could bait a player, and then he had the burst to make up for it and go back and make the play and get the ball. And certainly Diggs had that early. He would go be out of position, but not really because he'd intercept the ball. But still, a skilled player, and he was a brilliant athlete, and he was a natural ball hawk. He was like a receiver. He would go to the ball, and that takes just pristine talent and pristine reaction and reflexes. And so consequently, a combination of all of that is the reason we paid him. He deserved to be paid. And that production, injury-wise or otherwise, has fallen off. And there's a lot of reasons for it, but I wish him well.
Jerry, I feel like if you looked at Shoddy's list of things that he wanted to accomplish before the season, establishing his type of culture, and that dog mentality that Kevin was just talking about, that kind of culture in that locker room, build a standard for what he wants from his leaders, the guys that are in that room leading the rest of them and all those others. Do you think he was successful in establishing the culture he wanted this year?
Well, I think there was culture. Frankly, Mike McCarthy had a good culture out there, and but we wanted more, and we thought Shoddy gave us the opportunity to do it. Now, with that in mind, you've got to with the let's say the right atmosphere. And I like Shoddy's atmosphere. It's energetic. It's enthusiastic. It represents an appreciation of everybody getting to be where they are, and that's be a player in the NFL or coaching in the NFL. And I think it bodes well for us this year. I was particularly impressed with how we handled the tragedy that we had among the team. And I was impressed really with how we came out of training camp, made some adjustments, and I really thought there at about the midway point that we were going to have it together and be in a different spot and be in this playoff. And I'm disappointed Those things are a product of everyone. Yours truly leading the pack, and we've got to get in here and make the changes that need to be made as pertaining last year, and go forward.
Okay, I'm glad you said that exactly right there, because when you, and I know you look at the entire body of work, we talk about that a lot. You look at the whole season, and it's not completely done yet. But when you assess this team, what do you think the differences are between this team and the teams that are heading into the playoffs?
Well, I think first of all they were more consistent, and they had a better balance between how they performed offensively and defensively. You hear it all the time. They've got to complement each other. They be in the offense, the defense. It can't be out of sync relative to just be void or be having issues on the other. The competition will sense that and take advantage of it in a minute, and did with us this year. We've done some good things this year, and we've done it the way you have to do it at sometimes, and that's being shorthanded. But everybody gets shorthanded. That's part of the game. And we've done it in some cases shorthanded. Come forward and things that excite you because they are young, and you've got to have to put a successful team. As convoluted as it is because it's as multifaceted as it is. Offense, defense, receivers, tackles, guards, blocks, all of those kinds of things that are involved in it. No one coach, in this particular case, Eberflus, should be saddled with, well, the reason we didn't have a better defensive team or defensive statistics was Eberflus. That's not the case. What that defense represents is personnel department. That represents above that my department. Represents everybody involved in contracts. We all take it, and that's no kidding. Because when somebody breaks in there and makes that winning touchdown, everybody associated with this thing should pat themselves on the back and say, I made that touchdown. I did it with my stuff. And that's exactly the way I feel about the defense, and we'll approach it from that standpoint. And I'll assure you, we won't walk in there and say, you know what, Eberflus and this guy over here and this guy over here, let's change that out and it'll all be. Let's go get a Coke and let them think about it. That's not how it works.
Well, speaking of, the personnel, on Tuesday, once again, when you were with the morning show, you talked, and I'm kind of paraphrasing here, when the franchise re-signed Dak, y'all were going to keep going for it, keep trying to win games, keep trying to excel in the playoffs. With that in mind, would you guys consider for the next couple of years that Dak's under contract, changing your philosophy and pushing more resources in now for personnel, even if it means leveraging, like, for example, the 2028 cap and beyond, so you can really go for it with this Dak deal?
Well, we did that. We do that by the very nature of re-signing Dak. And we knew we had to have, protection for Dak. We knew we had to have him some receivers out there. Part of that protection goes over the running back. And by the way, while we're at it, we need to give him some field position with defense. Whoops. We slipped this year. We didn't get the defense done. We didn't create the kinds of complementary field position that we needed. But we have, let me say this, we've got, I call it bones, but we've got them in place. I like some of those defensive players that we added during the year. We're going to add more. And we're going to refine what we're doing with our offense. And we've got a good chance to be right there. This is a surprise to me. When I signed Dak, I didn't expect for us not to be in the playoffs the last 2 years. And so we'll make those kinds of adjustments that'll give us the best shot at the playoffs. And we can't be timid about it. They aren't just subtle little adjustments. We'll have to do some things that, as they say, put your head between your legs and prepare for some rough landings.
Jerry, Troy Aikman's reportedly consulting to help Miami find a new general manager. How much of an impact does Troy's word have in the NFL?
Well, again, you're talking to the wrong person because Troy Aikman is associated with my time in the NFL. And so I hardly know how to say NFL without saying Troy. And I'm so proud of him, proud of what he did for the Cowboys, proud of what he is in the NFL. And he's had a great career no matter how you count it. And so I've always appreciated him, having him on my side, our side. Obviously, he has to have an even hand where he is right now, and his job is broadcasting. And I would say that he certainly is capable of helping any team with in whatever capacity he is. Wouldn't surprise me if he decided to come back and play like what's his name did this past 2 or 3
Rivers.
weeks. That he could step out there and do it. Now that wouldn't surprise me at all if Troy Aikman said it's the case.
Now,
surprised me. No, that surprised me, but not surprised me that he could do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's got that toughness, that competitiveness. Mm-hmm. Now, one of the things that you frequently said on our show, and it's come up a lot this year as well, is this show is your opportunity to speak to the fans. This is our last chance to talk with you this season. And what I really want to know is not just what you would say to the fans, because you started to talk about that on Tuesday, but what would be your reaction and what would be your message to the fans out there who are concerned that they don't think that you and Steven and this front office are the group to turn this Cowboys team around?
Well, I used this analogy on the other day when I was asked a pretty similar question, and it reminds me of the old gold miner out in the 49er days of the gold rush of San Francisco. And that old broken down gold miner, he's got a bad back. His hands are got so much arthritis to him from swinging that pick. And he's sitting out there and he's just picking on rock and nothing's happening. But the most sure way for nothing to happen is for him to quit picking. And so you keep swinging the pick. Now, from the day that we've become involved here, we've said we're going to swing the pick. And so that hadn't changed. But we're sure not going to quit, and I'll assure you that I've been in many things in my life, including times with the Cowboys, that type of persistence breeds the kind of results our fan wants, and that's a winning football team.
You know, I'm really glad that you used that analogy. I heard that analogy the other day, and one of the things I thought about that, I consider myself a little bit of a student of history as well. Isn't another lesson from that gold rush is that people adapted with the times and used different technology and everything and didn't just keep swinging that pick as a way to make money?
Well, I will tell you that if you look at the Cowboys and you frankly look at Schottenheimer, and you look at what Schottenheimer's doing with the offense, how'd you like that change? Well, we did it with the same Schottenheimer there as from the last year and the year before. And that offense changed, and look at the production we got this year. There were a couple little subtle features. We had Dak most of the year rather than not having Dak. But other than that, and I'm smiling when I say that. But the point is that it's within the purview, it's within the scope of information that the changes can get the job done as far as doing it different ways, new ways. I've pretty much been working for myself personally all my life, and since we are talking about the Cowboys now, and got me on the phone, I guess I can talk a little about my own background. And I have changed so many times, so many ways. I'm going to be in the opposite direction from where I was going 5 years earlier. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with saying go in a different direction.
Well, we appreciate the time, the info, everything along the way. Love talking with you every Friday, and we hope to catch up with you sooner rather than later.
Man, I've enjoyed this, and let's get up here. It is big to us to end up with a winning record, and so that's what we want to do. And you say, well, if you equal on one side is equal on the other, we'll call that a losing record. Well, I'm going to call it a winning record if it's even.
I appreciate that. I know that you do. Thank you very much, good sir.
Hey, man, I've enjoyed it for sure.
Yes, sir.
Have a great year.
There you go, Jerry Jones right here on 105.3 The Fan.